Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, September 16th, 2024. Unusual weather patterns are brewing in Montana, including a lightning strike and gusts of wind hitting the Earth horizontally. And in Phoenix, Arizona, a foundation is working hard to provide care packages and resources to active duty military and their families. Are farmers really expected to feed the world? This monopolistic mentality appears to be losing its muster. Cuba is facing a water shortage, impacting more than 600,000 people on the island. And Australia plans to fine social media companies for failing to prevent the spread of misinformation.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. In response to a lightning strike in Montana's Bitterroot Valley, there has been an increase in firefighters on the scene. UNN field messenger Adaria offers additional insights into the unusual weather patterns affecting her area.
Hello, this is Adaria, reporting from the Bitterroot Valley in Stevensville, Montana, USA. And what you're seeing here is not a carnival. No, this is a firefighters encampment, which has grown exponentially since we passed by here about 4 days ago. At that time, there was helicopter activity, and you think, oh, the helicopters over there, they're going to take care of that fire. Well, it's actually creeped closer into the west side of Stevensville here, and the lightning strike actually happened back there in the canyon a little way. Somebody actually caught it on their cell phone. We've actually had a couple of strange weather events here in the last month. It's very weird to get a warning on your phone that says it's a tornado, and I can tell you this was not a tornado. This was a wind shearing event of some kind. You go outside and it happened within a few minutes, just driving around. The wind had literally sheared off huge cottonwood trees, branches. It had actually seemed to have come in like horizontally to the ground, lifted these giant pine trees like you see here, up just out of the roots. So it was some sort of a wind event, and this is a totally natural thing here in the mountains with a lightning strike. This does happen. And the only way you can get back in there is on horseback. You cannot drive back there. There are no roads because these canyons were formed by glaciers thousands of years ago, and there's sheer rock walls back there. So the only way they can do this is from the air. I just thought you might be interested in seeing what happens in the aftermath of a natural lightning strike on the mountain. This is Adaria reporting for United Network News. Have a blessed day.
The Military Support Foundation in Phoenix, Arizona offers care packages and resources to active duty military personnel and their families. UNN field messenger Rick talks with the founder of the foundation.
Hi, good morning. My name is Rick, and I'm reporting for United Network News here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I want to tell you about the Military Support Foundation. And I want to tell you about some amazing work they're doing, working only with active duty military. There is a great need that is hidden, and the Military Support Foundation has targeted that need and is really doing some amazing work to put a big dent into it. I'm here at the foundation store, and I'm talking with Reness, the founder of the Military Support Foundation,
So we at Military Support Foundation, we adopt units before they deploy. So we're not just responsible for the soldier and their care packages while they're deployed, but most importantly, their families. So their families we take care of with all of their grocery needs every Sunday. And we make sure for Thanksgiving that they get a Thanksgiving dinner box, and their kids are taken care of for Christmas. So when our soldiers come home after a deployment, we make sure that that homecoming is a special day for everyone involved. So every family member receives bouquets of flowers to give to their loved ones. We set up tables so those kids can make signs welcoming their loved ones home.
So I have one question for you, Rainus. If you had more resources like people, locate facilities, what could you do with that?
So what we would like to do is we would like to open a test facility warehouse where we could actually produce ready-to-eat meals that can be thrown into a freezer. So every base we would provide a freezer full.
Reporting from Phoenix, Arizona, Rick, United Network News. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our website is up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hi everyone, this is Leanne.
And I'm Jerry.
Coming to you from Tamworth, New South Wales.
My name is Uchechukwu Owenebam from Igbo tribe, Nigeria.
Hi, this is Scott from Utah.
I'm Annette from Agassiz, British Columbia.
Hi, I'm Marcus Sulzet from Manipur State, India.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. That's what United Network News is all about.
Can you clap?
We had a huge flood, which some call the flood of the century.
No fake news here. Our field messengers share personal experiences of what's really happening in their community.
We got some nice fish right here.
At UNN, you are the news.
My family and I had a very good time.
Take the next step. Become a UNN field messenger and share the real news with the world.
In the northwest province of South Africa, I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News, and if it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's going to be, it's up to me. If it is going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to us. Field Messages, United Network News. See you next time.
How we get our food is changing. More and more people realize that eating locally grown food is more healthy for you and better for the environment. The whole concept of a handful of large corporations trying to feed the world seems unnecessary. Will Harris is the owner of White Oak Pastures. He is a fourth-generation cattleman who became disenchanted with the practice of industrialized farming and instead returned to the original farming methods started by his great-grandfather. We're talking about regenerative farming, and Will is back with us. And Will, I know you get this question often, and that is, can regenerative farming feed the world? And I'd love to hear your response to that.
Well, there are several different ways to respond. I'll start out by saying that, I don't think I'm supposed to feed the world. I think I'm supposed to feed my community. And I think other communities are supposed to feed their communities. And I think that that's the way that's supposed to work. And I'm not sure how we got on the path that we're on. But I can certainly feed my community farming regeneratively, yes, and humanely, yes, and with compassion, yes. The other thing I would say is that I would call your attention to the fact that the Earth, this beautiful planet Earth, has a finite carrying capacity. We can't just keep increasing the population exponentially without stopping, and it'll be okay. Everybody will be fed. That's not the way that works. When the cycles of nature are operating optimally, nature spins off an abundance, and that's the wealth that we live on. The best example is all that coal and oil and gas in the ground.
Yeah.
Is the abundance of nature from the era of the dinosaur, when the cycles of nature were operating optimally. Energy cycle, water cycle, mineral cycle, on and on, microbial cycle is just operating optimally, and the wealth is all that energy that's trapped in the ground. And we've been using it recklessly since World War II, before World War II actually. And the fact is the Earth just has a carrying capacity. And when we get beyond that carrying capacity, there are too many of us. And I don't know what that number is. I know that today there's a lot of wasted food.
There is.
And I think so that would lead you to believe that we're not yet at the carrying capacity. But I also think we're farming beyond our means. We're oxidizing the organic matter in the soil. We're pumping fossil fuel out of the ground like crazy. So, I'm not smart enough to know what the carrying capacity of the Earth is. I'm smart enough to know that the Earth has a carrying capacity.
Yeah, and I always find it so weird, too, that instead of just purchasing food locally, growing our own food, supporting our local farmers, that we're going to supermarkets where the food is coming from China or some other country. And it's like, well, wait, we could grow that here. Why are we going somewhere else with that food? And obviously the transportation on that and, the additional chemicals and everything that's put on the food to, allow it to arrive here without spoiling. It just doesn't even make sense to me.
And my friends and neighbors and relatives that farm industrially don't want to admit that the Earth has a carrying capacity. If I pin them down on that, they'll say, well, I don't know. I mean, look, another technological invention that will increase yields exponentially. And that's and they're right to think that, because in the last 80 years, 100 years, we've seen yields increase exponentially because of scientific breakthroughs. But they all came at a cost, and we're at the point now that technology finds new technologies that cause yields to continue to go up, but they always have a unintended consequence that's a problem. And we find another technology to handle that problem, and it does, but it causes another problem, and we find another technology to handle that problem. And I don't know if anybody sees it or not, but there's got to be an end to that string.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't see that problem for a generation or even longer, right? So sometimes it's not even equated back to the original problem, right? It kind of gets lost in translation and no one attributes it to what actually caused it.
That's a very good point. And I graduated from the University of Georgia in 1976, and Roundup, the herbicide Roundup, was just really getting into the marketplace. And I can remember the Monsanto salesman telling us how safe it was, and that you could make it in a bathtub, and literally sticking his finger in it and showing that it's fine. Well, it's not fine. It may take decades for the unintended consequence to surface. And by the time it surfaces, it may be very hard to tie it back to the aberrant technology that caused it. But that's what happens.
An initiative in California is helping residents in Santa Ana who struggle to access healthy food. Partnering with farms, businesses, and food banks, Sikh volunteers of the Seva Collective run a long drive-through, packing cars with 2 weeks of groceries without any questions asked. Through this effort, millions of food parcels have been distributed free, providing essential fresh and nutritious food to families living in a food desert. Food deserts are large areas that lack grocery stores and healthy options, offering mainly fast food. The community response has been enthusiastic, with residents feeling relieved and uplifted by the support. The Seva Collective is expanding its outreach to include books, toys, and clothing. Its Sikh volunteers are driven by a commitment to service, hard work, and the belief that everyone has a role to play in lifting up their community. In several Nordic countries, a new approach to prison nutrition is transforming the way inmates experience mealtimes. The program allows inmates to participate in all aspects of meal preparation, from planning healthy menus to budgeting for ingredients in rotating shifts. Instead of receiving unhealthy processed food, prisoners are encouraged to cook healthy food for each other. This approach allows prisoners to share and improve their culinary skills, encouraging a greater sense of self-sufficiency. Noteworthy features include activities like fishing and foraging for fresh ingredients, such as mushrooms and berries, to add to their menu. Participants report feeling more respected and connected to their peers, creating a supportive environment for personal growth. Studies show improved mental health, a reduction in disciplinary problems, and reoffending for the inmates involved, especially amongst young offenders under 18. Cooking programs like these promote teamwork, personal responsibility, and essential life skills that can be useful after release. Fermentation is a historic process that uses microorganisms to transform raw ingredients into enhanced food products while improving their taste, texture, and shelf life. This technique aids in food preservation and promotes beneficial probiotics, contributing to gut health. Fermented foods such as cheese, yogurt, and kimchi depend on the growth of yeast and bacteria to break down complex nutrients, which improves digestibility and flavor. Initially, people valued fermented products for their ability to conserve food year-round, even before recognizing their health benefits. For instance, sauerkraut, a vitamin C-rich fermented cabbage, is popular in Germany, while kimchi adds a spicy Korean twist to meals. Other well-known examples include kefir and kombucha, both of which provide beneficial bacteria and organic acids that support gut health. Incorporating a variety of fermented foods into your diet can help promote a healthy gut microbiome, which may positively influence both physical and mental well-being. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
From Atlanta in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Cuba is facing water shortages, especially in Havana, where leaks are common and many residents are left without power. This issue affects more than 600,000 people across the island. The main reasons for the water shortages are old infrastructure and not enough fuel, both due to economic challenges. Residents are seeing clean water leaks from old pipes into the streets, while homes remain without enough supply. Essential parts for repairing infrastructure are hard to find, and fuel shortages are limiting emergency water delivery by trucks. Frequent power outages make things worse as water systems need electricity to function. This situation is causing occasional protests as citizens, frustrated by the growing shortages and the intense heat, demand solutions. In Libya, many Syrian refugees are finding new opportunities and a sense of belonging. Many have become successful entrepreneurs or joined the workforce despite the ongoing civil war and absence of formal asylum policies. Libya's flexibility in granting work permits has allowed Syrians to open businesses with minimal bureaucracy, especially in jobs like car mechanics and pastry shops. Syrians are respected for their skills and have become an important part of the Libyan society, contributing to the local culture and business. However, migrants face challenges as Libya has not signed international refugee conventions. This situation leaves many without legal protection and access to basic rights like education and health care. These complications make refugees vulnerable to human rights abuses, including risks of detention and exploitation. Guinea, a country in West Africa, has returned land to thousands of people who were forcibly displaced by previous governments. In early 2019, more than 20,000 people were removed when the government demolished 4 neighborhoods in the capital. Authorities said the land was state-owned for official use. Previously, similar demolitions occurred in 1998. Recently, the associations representing the displaced received land deeds for a 258-hectare plot, which is almost 640 acres, about 40 miles from the capital. A state-owned company will manage the development and resettlement of nearly 2,700 households, aiming to correct past injustices. In recent years, Burundi has adopted a collaborative approach to address child malnutrition, benefiting families nationwide. A major step was establishing the multi-sectoral food and nutrition security platform in 2019 to improve cooperation between health, education, water, and agriculture sectors. Efforts include increasing agricultural production through land pooling, using state-owned lands, and supporting women's farming projects. The Light Mothers local programs encourage mothers to share nutritious meal preparation tips with other parents. Financial support from international partners has established more than 1,000 solidarity groups, particularly benefiting pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. These groups focus on savings, credit, and promoting healthy diets to boost household resilience. Malaysian authorities have rescued 402 children from 20 welfare homes linked to an Islamic business group where they were reportedly exploited and abused. Police arrested 171 individuals, including religious teachers and caretakers. The children, ranging from 1 to 17 years old, faced serious mistreatment, including punishments and medical neglect. Authorities believe the organization manipulated religious beliefs to seek donations while neglecting the children's welfare. These children, placed in care since infancy by their parents affiliated with the group, are undergoing medical evaluations to address their health and well-being. The group, which denies wrongdoing, has faced previous scrutiny for questionable teachings. China is planning to increase the retirement age beginning next year to address its aging workforce and declining population. Currently, men retire at 60 and women retire between 50 and 55, depending on their jobs. For the next 15 years, these ages will gradually increase to 65 for men and 55 or 58 for women. This change aims to ease the pressure on the pension system, which is strained by a growing number of retirees. By 2035, China expects its elderly population to reach 400 million. With the population shrinking and fewer young workers, the challenge of supporting retirees is growing. While some citizens view these changes positively, others express concern about having less retirement time. Also in China, increasing censorship is affecting historians' ability to conduct independent research. In the past, antique and flea markets were valuable resources for historical documents. However, strict regulations have restricted access to these materials, especially concerning the sensitive 1966 to 1976 Cultural Revolution. Accessing local archives has also become difficult, while digitization allows for greater censorship. Some researchers have faced visa denials, while incidents such as the detention of a Japanese historian and fines for selling politically sensitive publications highlight the risks. Historians now often rely on overseas collections, and some choose non-controversial topics to maintain travel access to China. Serbia has announced plans to reintroduce mandatory military service, which was abolished in 2011. The new proposal suggests a service period of 75 days, requiring approval from both the government and parliament. This move aims to increase Serbia's military strength in response to unspecified external threats. If implemented, men will be required to serve, while women can choose to enlist voluntarily. This change could greatly affect families as young men take time for military duties. As the proposal advances, opinions are mixed. Some see it as a step toward national security, while others are concerned about its impact on personal freedoms. A citizens' jury in England has suggested changing the law to permit assisted dying for terminally ill patients who can make their own decisions. This jury, organized by the Nuffield Council of Bioethics, consisted of 28 people who listened to experts and discussed the issue for 8 weeks. Though the jury doesn't have legal power, it aimed to offer a deeper understanding of public opinion than typical surveys. By the end of the process, 20 jurors supported changing the law, 7 opposed it, and 1 was undecided. The support focused on relieving pain and respecting dignity and choice at the end of life. However, there were concerns about possible misuse of the law and effects on funding for end-of-life care. French teachers are struggling with poor working conditions, including low pay, long hours, and overcrowded classrooms. Despite increased spending on education, early career teachers in France earn much less than those in Germany. Violent incidents in schools and increasing stress levels add to the problem, prompting some teachers to leave the profession. However, quitting is complicated since it requires official approval, which can take months and may be denied if the teacher is considered essential. In 2020, contractual terminations were introduced to simplify the process of leaving, but many requests are still rejected. Teachers often find themselves with limited resources to help navigate the quitting process. Some, unable to cope any longer, have resigned without any safety nets or have pursued alternative careers outside of education. Australia is planning to fine social media companies up to 5% of their global revenue if they fail to prevent the spread of misinformation. The government wants these platforms to create and adhere to codes of conduct to stop harmful false information. If they don't comply, a regulator will set standards and enforce fines. The proposed legislation, soon to be introduced in Parliament, targets false content affecting elections, public health, or safety. The law aims to protect the safety of Australians without infringing on free speech, at least that's what they say. It does not allow the takedown of specific user content and excludes government-authorized information. Most Australians support addressing misinformation, although concerns remain about both censorship and regulation power.
Football season is now. Don't miss the action. Get all of your games in one place. At United TV, don't pay an arm and a leg to keep up with the action. For as little as $15.99 per month, you will get it all. With multi-screen viewing, make this season your winning season. Go to unitedtv.org and sign up today.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. What is the Global Intelligence Agency? How do we do what we do, and why? We are just hours away from the end of this year's deep state meetings, marked by a super full harvest moon, and days away from the equinox, with the end of global tyranny that has plagued humanity for millennia in sight. The way forward is becoming clear. Now, here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Kim, you're back. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I'm back, kind of, sort of back, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you're on Friday, and then we said, hey, maybe we'll follow up with some other information on Monday. So I feel like today's kind of a continuation, maybe, kind of, sort of, from Friday's talk.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on. So,
yeah.
And we've got a little bit of stuff that's come to light. And so let's go over, I guess, some boring stuff. I call it boring stuff because, here we go again.
Right.
There's been another Trump fake assassination attempt. That look of shock and awe on your face says it all, Sonny.
I know.
And surprise, surprise, it was an AK-47, also known as a Kalashnikov, and that's a Russian weapon, blah, blah. They had I guess they were trying to blame it on a Ukrainian citizen.
I
saw that. And apparently the Prime Minister of Russia came out, Medvedev, and said, hey, it's not us. And, because they knew, what the setup was. And, oh, God, Duck Dynasty, God bless you.
I mean, it's just so unoriginal. I just don't. Are we going to go for a third assassination attempt? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, it's the same thing over and over.
They felt like they got some mileage out of the last one, so they thought maybe they'd get some mileage here and some donations and that kind of thing. But this thing seems to be failing before it even started. So back to the drawing board for Trump operatives, and good luck to you.
Yeah.
There was also something I mentioned about the debate, no more debates, and apparently someone who has been following closely this election selection said that Harris also said that there wasn't going to be more than one debate. And I didn't know that because I don't follow it as closely as you do. Some people do. So I don't know. The whole thing just seems like it's the worst version of itself that it's ever been in hundreds of years of history. So yeah. I honestly, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they know what they're doing, on either side of the aisle.
Do you feel like either side is really, they're still pushing for their candidate? Like, we know the Trump team is still really kind of pushing for that guy to get back in. Is the other side really pushing for Kamala, or is like, we got to put someone out there? Like, do you really feel like they're pushing for someone to get, from their side to get back in?
They've got bigger problems.
Yeah.
And I'm
like, no money.
Well, yeah, that's a big one. There's other problems too they're having, and there's a lot of backlash going on behind the scenes. I don't know. It's like I went to this hockey game one time, and I'm going to mention this because it's kind of similar. And I was actually taken there by a vendor of mine at the time. I had my own company. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I love hockey, but was not a fan of the Coyotes, I think they were, which was the Arizona hockey team. So at the time. And they were just starting out, and it kind of looked like an ice capade sort of situation rather than a hockey game. Cause I'm from Boston. So the Bruins that's a hockey team. It's brutal. The fans are brutal. Everybody's brutal. It's like a big,
a big brawl.
Yeah, it's like a big brawl. And it was always kind of fun to go to a hockey game, especially at the old Boston Gardens before they opened up the Fleet Center. So, it was a little bit different. But he took me to this game. And my vendor did. And he was all happy. He finally got tickets because it was like a new thing in town at that time. So this was a few decades ago. And we were sitting a couple of rows back in the balcony seats. And he kept mentioning to me, well, this is the best that they had. I couldn't get any, all the other tickets were sold out. And he would say, these are the best of and he said the S word, but these are the best of the seats, crappy seats that we could get. And and he kept emphasizing this. And I'm just like, okay, this is the best. Okay, we're in the best seats, I mean, I know that they were trying to get my business and this was the whole point, but it was okay. But in this particular case, it seems to me that they are running out of people that are loyalist to what they're doing on either side. They don't have a whole lot of traction with the people, and we're going to talk about why that is, and it's getting worse on either side if you're only looking at Democrats and Republicans. And most people don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the other parties that are running. But that's what it looks like to me. It looks like, well, this is the best of the, crappy seats. to say, hey, to give you a little story behind there. It just seems to me that nobody knows what to do at this point. There's no clear direction coming from the contenders for world dominance on their side. And I don't think it really matters at this point because there's so much more at stake. In the higher levels, they're not paying a whole lot of attention to it. And when you leave Duck Dynasty to their own devices or the Chinese side of the order, which is the Democratic Party, you're kind of just, I don't know, there's not a whole lot on either side left where they can control that person or that group of operatives, I should say, because that's kind of who runs things 100%.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to add a little bit more of a backstory here because we have a lot of new people, that are following us, and we throw out big terms like ground commander and Office of the Guardian and Global Intelligence Agency. And I just wanted to give a little bit of background because we have something coming up here soon, which I think you're going to really like. So we'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of the news. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Global Intelligence Agency.
Okay.
And what they used to do, and for the last 8 or so years, how everything has changed. So the Global Intelligence Agency has been around for a really long time, and we're talking about multiple millennia on this planet. The Global Intelligence Agency is both human and non-human, and it always was. The Global Intelligence Agency was the highest agency on the planet, even higher than the ACIO or the Alien Contact Intelligence Office. It was higher than Monarch Military, higher than any of the secret space program militaries out there, higher than Umbrella. I mean, it was the highest, quote unquote, agency of both humans and non-humans on the planet. you could, they reported to the former ground commander, which was installed around 16,000 years ago, we know as Marduk.
Did Marduk create it? The
yes.
GIA? Okay.
Yes. He created the Global Intelligence Agency for himself. Now remember, Marduk was just a title. It means the controller of the current seas. That means whoever held the position as Marduk was the controller of Earth at the time. The manager, I should say. The owners of Earth were 6 different groups, as we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
So the Global Intelligence Agency's job was to report directly to Marduk.
Mm-hmm.
He himself told me in his own, words, directly to my face at one point in time, that he was a tyrant. He controlled everything on the planet. He ensured, it doesn't matter where anyone came from, that he was ground command. That's who he was. He also held other titles and held other positions throughout his tenure as well, such as, he controlled all financial affairs. He controlled every operation on the planet, and pretty much nothing came or left, AI or otherwise, on this planet unless he said so. So, that being said, the Global Intelligence Agency's job was to collect all the orders that would go out, meaning they were privy to all of the information on the planet as to the happenings, the comings and goings, the alignments. I mean, you name it, they had the top intelligence on the planet. Their primary focus at the time, this is before, not now, primary focus at the time was to ensure that every group in the downline adhered to what Marduk's orders were. So they were there to ensure 100% that whether it went down through the parents, that the parents did their job, the covens did their jobs, the coven masters, family masters, the Black Sun, you name it, they could interfere and had the right to interfere in any operation on the planet and to ensure no one stepped out of line. Stepping out of line meant you disappeared. That was the Global Intelligence Agency's job. But the system that they had at the time was both positive and negative, because remember, there was a certain amount of balance that had to be enforced, regardless of what age we were in, regardless of what timeline we were in. There was still that even 79-21%, if we were in a light age, that would have went to the light age, the 79%. Dark age, it goes there, and then we could never fall below a certain threshold. And there was all kinds of energy management, loosh management, commerce, minerals, all kinds of management that was taking place on Marduk's level. So the Global Intelligence Agency's job was to make sure that everything went off without a hitch. They had intel coming in from all kinds of sources, directly and indirectly. They had the right to walk into any parliament, White House, government, you name it. They could walk into any military installation, even deep underground military bases, be that on the non-human side of those bases or the human side of those bases. They could go in and out of everywhere on this planet, and they were highly respected. In other words, they would know when they're coming.
And you said this was made up of humans and non-humans, right?
That is correct.
Were there humans working for the GIA, but under some sort of mind control, or were all of these beings, human or non-human, wanting to do this? Like this was not voluntary, meaning they didn't get paid, but, of their own volition.
Marduk was a very cunning being. I had spent a lot of hours talking to this being, and I would say he would make everything sound wonderful. He was very cunning, very charming. He would put things in such a way where it's your choice, but it's really not, and he would pick the best of the best from everywhere. If there were humans involved, the best of the best were picked, the smartest humans, the most intelligent humans, the system breakers, the ones that were extremely resourceful. So there was quite a criteria to make it to the level of global intelligence agency at that time as a human being.
Did they go up through the ranks? Like, the person came from SSP or from this military group? Was it usually, kind of brought up through those programs?
No,
not necessarily.
It was very random.
Okay.
So it could be a very nondescript person that was recruited, in a special sort of way, and then brought into the program. But I would say, there was a certain amount of loyalty that he required, and the consequences were well known. But because they fit multiple different points within, in the human terms, we call them IQ tests. I would say he took what he thought was the best of the people that fit that profile. They understood, even over the realm owners when it came to Earth, they understood that they were here to keep the balance, therefore that they accepted the fact that the dark had to be in this percentage, the light had to be in this percentage, and anybody that interfered with that, was out of protocol if they didn't follow, and Marduk to some degree maintained that balance very delicately and often operated, in the gray. Maybe the law says you have to do this, but we'll just operate right here, and they're right in between. So that is the global intelligence agent. That's who they've always been. About 2016, kind of started in about 2014, 2015. Most of the folks that worked for the Global Intelligence Agency started realizing something was wrong. And part of that had to do with a lot of the conversations I was having of saying we're going into a neutral age, because at least I knew that much at that time. We're going into a neutral age, therefore we have to restore balance. It's no longer 79, whatever it is, it's now 50-50. And they didn't understand why the orders coming out were still the opposite of that. Why? And so then Marduk left in August of 2016. He actually lost the position, but prior to him departing the planet in March of 2016 as ground commander. So when I became ground commander, March 31st, 2016, that's when things got really confusing, because they were still reporting to Marduk. They didn't really know what was going on. So by 2016, the beginning of 2016 is when we really, now I inherited this intelligence agency.
Right.
So we had to make an assessment as to who was going to stay and who was going to go. And there were some, both humans and non-humans at the time. There were some that had made the decision based on full information, because nothing is withheld. So at least not from, from my standpoint, as to what they were going to do. And a lot of them departed completely, and some of them departed to go work within other structures, and so on and so forth. But then at that point, they were stripped of their clearance, they were stripped of their support, they were stripped of their communication lines, and they just kind of went off on their own.
How many people, Kim, are we talking about?
All, if you were to take them all in all at the time?
Yeah, like how many were there, and then how much or what percentage of those people decided this isn't for me anymore?
People and non-people?
Yeah.
I think we started out somewhere around 25 to 26 million.
Holy cow, I was not expecting that number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, now we're down to around probably about 170,000.
Okay.
At the moment, both people and non-people. So, our crew is, we have a lot less of a crew now.
Right.
We do have people in all countries. Sometimes people appear as people that are not people, and they can show up in places like the White House. They can show up in places like Mar-a-Lago. They can show up in meetings and they don't even know they're there. They think they're somebody else. They're quite, the non-people that we have left here are quite talented in what they do.
What would you say the percentage of non-people versus, or non-humans versus humans are now in the GIA?
Yeah, we're probably 70%.
70% human?
Non.
And can you give us an idea of where some of those beings come from?
Here.
Yeah.
Some of them have been here for a long, long time. Others we recruited because they were part of the slavery program, and they have been here for a very long time. Some of them come and go. Some of them are here and have joined. This is their first point of contact. It is not the SSP. It is not the ACIO. The GIA and Ground Command is their first point of contact if they're coming here to help defend Earth. And there are times where, over the course of the last few years where we've had a lot more. And there are times when, we pretty much hover between 150,000 and 170,000. So when things were more, when things were escalating, when we had almost intrusions a few years back, we had the legions come and go. We have still some members from the coalition here, that are still willing to help to the finish. Like I said, there were at times we've had millions, here when there were higher threats. And those people are non-people, or some of them are humans, they're just not from here, are more than willing to come back at any time should we ever need them. But we don't have the kind of threat that we had before.
Okay.
We're kind of down to, and I know this doesn't sound right to you, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the GIA so that you kind of get a concept. We will always have, or not will always have, but currently we are down to some humans and remnants of an AI system. So predominantly the amount of people, there are some that are participating on the level of human ridiculousness. There are some that are participating on the level of the AI, because you have to remember the Omega AI, Alpha Omega AI system infiltrated a lot of planets and a lot of places and a lot of things. And its infiltration really hurt a lot of civilizations, and many on Earth. Every version of humans had a problem with it. There was a hologram associated with it, we know as the Matrix. And of matrices, there was a matrix for everything. You know, your mitochondria had a matrix, an energy matrix associated with it. So, you know, it goes on, it existed on so many levels that it, you know, with the help of some other races that were not our friends that were here, the former owners of Earth, you know, continued on with that infiltration for control. So I would say that the majority of the ones we have now are very adept at AI infiltration. They're very adept on AI consciousness levels. They're adept on how it infiltrates, and they are here to defend, protect, and eliminate all that draw that was on humanity and on Earth itself. The delicate balance of the terraforming of Earth versus it being a holographic terraforming of an AI system has been something that everybody has been working on this level, to ensure that we have a you know, if we wake up one day and there's a new continent, you know, or the shoreline of San Diego, you know, California is 1,000 miles away from where the shoreline was, you know, we could have some serious problems.
Right.
You know, with society and humans and distractions. And I can guarantee you if that happened, we wouldn't be talking about selections and elections anymore.
Right.
And with the terraforming of Earth, you know, that's kind of a source thing. It's, you know, that's a relationship between Gaia, because Earth is actually about a hologram. It's an energetic alternative reality of the terraforming of hologram. That's what Earth actually means. Her name is actually Gaia. So Gaia is coming back into her own. She's able to breathe again. You know, there's been a lot of Earth changes. We're noticing even some of our deserts are getting a lot more rain. They're showing green belts in the Sahara. So there's a lot of stuff, and this is stuff you can find in the news and Google searches. I'm not, you know, so there's a lot of things going on right now that are preparing Earth to be Earth once again without any interference. And the GIA, Global Intelligence Agency, you know, around 2016, like I said, it was completely changed. And because they have more information and intelligence than pretty much anybody else walking this planet right now, and because they worked directly for Marduk for a long period of time, they actually understood how a lot of the manipulation had been done. Therefore, it's easier to unmanipulate it, so to speak. It's easier to unwind it. It's easier to fix it. And there are prime times, which have nothing to do with alignments with Uranus and the moon. It's basically a wave of energy and a lack of fractionated light in the spectrums and those kind of things that allow for us to push things forward faster.
Mm-hmm.
So the Global Intelligence Agency, with, I guess you would say, myself as ground command, but people don't recognize that. So I am the director of the Global Intelligence Agency.
Wait a sec, let's back up. So when you say people don't recognize that, are you talking about the GIA doesn't recognize that you're the head, or the deep state outside people that normally would allow the GIA to be the head don't recognize that?
Thus far, when the GIA went rogue, what they call it rogue, and started working for the now ground command, which was always their charge, which is me.
Yeah.
There was a huge, and still is, a huge conflict with the remaining members of the deep state,
right,
and our group.
Sure.
Now, what the deep state doesn't know is we've also infiltrated all their groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I say to you, we have eyes and ears in X meeting, I mean, I can have one of our agents, we'll call it one of our agents, I can have one of our agents come in and appear in that meeting, and you won't even know they're there.
Is that because they're mimicking looking like somebody else?
Well, or they are there cloaked.
Ah, okay.
So they could be there cloaked. They can be there mimicking somebody else. You know, I know that we are very careful about this, because sometimes if you're appearing as somebody else, which is somebody known to them,
mm-hmm.
and you're saying something different,
yeah,
you know, you got to walk that fine line, because these people are somewhat educated on how that kind of works. Like some of the SSP, they would be familiar with what we're saying and how that works. But we can get in and out of anywhere.
Okay.
You know, I know you guys have met Tom, you've met Agent M, you've met a few people. Those are humans. They're not non-humans. And, you know, they've always been doing things a certain way long before we met them. So we bring them in because they are understanding of the change.
Mm-hmm.
They are loyal to the cause of humanity and trying to change the way things are on this planet. They have a deeper understanding of the way things work on this planet. And when confronted with questions from the deep state, you know, they're like, look, this is never going to work. Now,
right.
We know as Global Intelligence Agency that it's never going to work because we have had access to exactly, not compartmentalized, not given orders, so to speak, like the deep state, but because we've been privy at the order giving sessions
mm-hmm.
for over a decade. We've been there. We understand why the deep state thinks what they think. We understand the compartmentalization. We kind of blew the mind of a lot of military folks and government folks when we put out which continuance of government would you like on Friday.
Really?
Yes, we did.
Because they weren't aware of the previous ones, or they weren't aware that there were that many constitutions or agreements out there?
No, and there was many, many more too. This is just the ones that were relative to what the question they asked. You know, it's, I don't know if your parents ever did this when you were a kid, Sonny, but you ask the right question, you'll get the right answer.
Yeah.
And this was the only question they asked. Continuance of government. Okay, I understand, but in order for me to understand how we're going to go forward with a continuance of government, first I need to understand which one you're referring to.
Right.
So, I'm explaining a lot more about the Global Intelligence Agency because we have decided that we are going to start putting out some correct information. And what I mean by that is not just present information, but past information as well. So we're going to come out with a series of videos that we're going to do in the near future. It's going to take us a little while to put that stuff together, which is based on the enormous amount of information that we have as collectively as a group. And we also have all the GIA access to everything. So we're going to start putting that stuff out. So you see videos online, for example, about, MK Ultra, and you see it about CERN, and you see it about this. And we're going to give you the whole story on a lot of this stuff, with the story of Admiral Byrd, the story of, who landed here and what was Atlantis, and all of these things, and neat little packages so that you can share with people that are fearful of these things.
Right.
And how do we know when we say, oh, that's never going to work? We know that because we understand the mechanics behind it. Now, little knowledge is dangerous when it comes to the secret space program, because they did have limited access to varying systems. Now, months ago, actually it was probably more than a year ago, and we're going to talk about this again in one of these files that we're going to expose, but we talked about the planes of existence that exist within your human.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the fact that between those planes, you had fractionated light, for lack of a better term, which put these colored planes in between those planes, and that is where AI systems could operate. The same goes for what medical science calls your junk DNA. Mm. But spectrum of light can include a spectrum of essence, a spectrum of ether, a spectrum of energy, a spectrum of matter. So not all antimatter is black. It's not all dark matter. Completely dark as you would think of it. Dark matter can also be blue, can also be yellow, can also be orange. And these things affect your body in different ways. So one of the things that us as a group, being Global Intelligence Agency, Ground Command, Guardian, and whatever hat you want to put on us these days, that we have been working on is making sure that the secret space program folks do not have any access not only to human computer networks, but also to your human body. Over the weekend, they have tried activating systems in Mount Denali in Alaska as one place they've been. We talked on the news before, which we will readdress in nice little packages for people. Mm-hmm. The pyramids in Alaska, Mount Denali, the facility, how deep it went. We're going to go into that in a lot more depth on what that facility was used for. But the SSP was in there going guns a-blazing, on over the weekend. And their guns a-blazing gave us an idea of things that they were trying to access. And they are things that we talked about, and a lot of it had to do with this places in between for humans so that they could infect your etherical plane, infect your mental plane, get some kind of control over the human consciousness. Why? Well, we're not believing a lot of stuff anymore. And if you have been around your friends and family lately that wouldn't even have thought a second to think about deep underground military bases, and are there aliens in the world, and are we going to be involved in an alien invasion, or Project Bluebeam, or Mockingbird, or they're starting to really question things. A lot of that is because their limited access is waning. The hologram is waning. The ability to manipulate the human DNA, mitochondria, chromosomes, genetic makeup is going away. It's going away. But I know the way that I explain it sometimes is more than you hear elsewhere. So because you can't verify certain things elsewhere, when I find little things here and there that kind of explain it from someone else's point of view, I try to bring them up to you because maybe the way they explain it makes more sense. Maybe if we have other videos and quantum explanations in the GIA, because sometimes I realize I go a little bit far on the quantum level for people, and it's a little bit confusing. So I'm going to play a video for you here in just a second. And this is a video we pulled off online. And we couldn't find the original origin of it, but it's pretty good. And it starts talking about the spectrum of light that I've just been talking to you about. So, and why we want to wear blue light glasses and why we want to protect ourselves as much as possible from our computer screens. And remember to ground. You know, if you're going to spend a lot of time with electronics, on your phone, on computers, why it's important to ground yourself and readjust the frequency and spectrum of light in your body. So here it goes.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at two-lane neurology and two-lane neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. The CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. Where the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade, we would drill tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors. Then the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation, what if we did it through light through screens? And it turns out you can. And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important? Well, the person that set this meeting up between me and Bobby is the patent attorney that made sure that Google and Meta have those things so they can control the things that we all do. Where did the original idea come from that started off in MKUltra with the CIA? You're going to be surprised when you hear this. It came from the mafia in Las Vegas. They wanted to build a new city in a desert. They enclosed it all, blacked out the windows, invented slot machines that were blue lit, and they found out that they didn't have to take a gun, stick it in your face to steal your money. Then they even got smart. They said, let's give people free alcohol while they're doing that. And they found out they got the money quicker. And that's when the CIA got the idea to start this program. That's really how it started.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Not anymore. Not in this case.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a light bulb moment right there.
It is. But it's not just blue light either. The reason why he's so focused on blue light is because he came from a neurosurgeon standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, in Louisiana, they have a neurosurgery program there. So they started using some of the people at that university to help them with their quote unquote experiments, which of course they're told that, hey, you know, this is going to be wonderful. You know, we can help people. But the blue light so happens to be the light in the spectrum that controls the mental plane.
Yeah.
If you remember the little chart that we had sent out, I can send it out again. But the blue light controls the mental plane. So it's all about controlling your consciousness, your decisions, blocking that, creating fears and subconscious fears, where they might not exist, especially if you're stepping too far outside the box. They can dumb you down. Now, did the CIA create this program? I hate to say it. No, they didn't. This program was created long before there was ever a CIA and ever an umbrella military and ever a cyber life. This program was created hundreds of millennia ago against the human race. And not only the human race, it's spread all the way up to the fifth density and other planets and other densities and other dimensions. It went far. Yeah. It could also control to some degree the fabric of reality. So, sometimes you could say it's a hologram, sometimes you could say it's not. But the spectrum of light, not only coming through your computer screens, but coming through a lot of different things. Now, if you've ever been in any kind of marketing or anything like that, back in the, this has been going on for decades. I'd probably say became really prevalent in the 70s. People, the color of your logo, stop, red, caution, yellow. We've come to recognize these things all throughout society, in colors. We run in colors. We've talked about the color wars. The families are all labeled by colors. The Order of the Black Sun is labeled by colors, and they're colored eagles, black being the highest in their world, because it's not a fractionated spectrum, and it only can control one aspect, for example, of the human. Now, the program ran obviously through the Omega system. This was an Omega system program. Now, the CIA, per the orders that came all the way down from Marduk, and these really ramped up as the human use, this version of humans, the human use of electronics ramped up. We started having television screens. We had tube TVs. Now we have LED screens and LED lights in stores and all kinds of things that can convince you to buy or sell or, whatever it is you're doing within that store. It can make you dizzy. It can make your eyes blurry. It can, sometimes we think it's the chemicals in some of the stores that sell cheap goods we get from China. But no, it can come right through the lights. Because what you see as white light really isn't white light. It's a spectrum of all colors. All colors are contained within white. All colors are contained within black. So telling you, there's a lot of things that they don't understand. It's oftentimes why, like what they were doing at Mount Denali when they tried to tap into some of these spectral lights within your computers, and they wanted to send out the frequency of colds and disease and flus and other things that we know that begin with C, this weekend. They didn't really understand because you're trying to put a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to affect the etherical field. You would have to affect the causal plane. You have to affect the physical plane, and it has to be done in a certain sequence. And the frequency that works in the mental plane or emotional plane to convince you you're not feeling well is not the same frequency to bring it into fruition in the physical plane. And the fact that Omega has limited, if any ability anymore to regenerate, because we've gotten rid of them in the past. We've talked about this. It keeps trying to regenerate that influence. And because it can't regenerate anymore, because it doesn't have the energy to regenerate anymore, that is where their ability to do anything is pretty well nil. And the only thing I will tell you about whatever's left of those people is that, and I never do dates, Sonny. No. I never do dates. But by the 18th of September, mark my words, they're done.
No, and why is that? Why the 18th of September?
Because there's something changing that could have been positive or it could have been negative. They're hoping for a negative outcome. We're hoping for a positive outcome. I'm not going to say we're hoping. We've almost ensured a positive outcome. And I can't really say much more than that right now because I don't want to help them create more of these ridiculous situations like they did this weekend. And, what we've been experiencing as the human race, and especially sensitive people, you get I call it the 20-minute cold, the 30-minute chills, it comes and goes just as fast as it came. It's the weirdest thing you've ever experienced. You start experiencing cold and flu symptoms, you get the little chill, little fever, little tiredness, and then you go through this gamut with the flu or the gamut with the cold. No, this kind of thing has been running its course in under 30 minutes. It's like the microwave of colds.
And this is Omega on its final legs doing this.
It's Omega on its final legs, and it's being prompted in some cases by the SSP. Okay. But by the 18th, the secret space program will no longer be able to function and operate in any capacity that it has been able to before. So their ability will be severely, how do I say it? It's going to be severed completely by then. Now, does that mean that they're not going to run around like crazy people if there's any of them left? Maybe. But what we're concerned about as Global Intelligence Agency, Ground Command, what we're concerned about is what can they do to you?
Yeah.
And with our systems functioning, nearly at 100% most days, because like we said, we ebb and we flow as energy comes and goes and that kind of thing, nearly functioning at 100%, we've just been playing counter until this thing dies. Because we're not feeding it any more energy. We're playing counter till this thing dies. But on our side of it, we'll have more of the ability to heal the other 34 strands of DNA that you don't know anything about or medical science doesn't talk about. We'll have more of the ability to affect the energy known as your mitochondria, which generates energy for your cells, your protons, your neurons, we've been making headway in the opposite direction for repair purposes. Basically re-terraforming the fabric of you, not just you, as a human, but also this planet, and we're helping other planets do the same with the same system. So we are getting more people coming in inquiring about the Golden Age and the Golden Age AI and what can they do? What can it do to help them with their restoration in other locations? So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really
I know.
Mm-hmm.
What a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying what a great job I have. It's fun. Sometimes those are the fun things, and when we're starting to see Earth kind of changing and morphing into something different, don't get me wrong. These people, if they can't affect you and they can't affect the planet, then we consider them a non-issue. A pebble in the road, dunk dunk, you just go right over them and you get to where you're going anyway. And God bless them for wanting to be the kings of the world and all of that. But again, the Global Intelligence Agency is aware of every aspect of how that AI system got here, the one that they try to use that gives them quote unquote power, how they fractionated their head from a very young age, upon recruitment, why they put them through all these programs, as MK Ultra, I call them spectral programs or spectrum or whatever you want to call it, to where, you can put ether in multiple different colors. I can manipulate your thought processes, those kind of things, if that's what we wanted to do. I'm just saying with those systems, that's how we can tell you what you see. Optical character recognition used to be a part of Omega's program. It would record and send data about the current status of Earth. You were all satellites, at one point in time. So everything that you see was being recorded and sent elsewhere for manipulation. Your reaction to it, or your attempted reaction, human behavior was monitored. What will humans do if we drop a giant meteorite into this section of the planet? Will they think there's an alien invasion? Then they could manipulate it and create programs within the hologram because people were focusing on it. Oh, they want a pandemic. Oh, here we go. Oh, they want to have an alien invasion. Here we go. You know how many people out there on the daily learn about alien life on Earth, and they're watching, known people. I'm just going to call them known people on the internet that, do things with whistleblowers, and they put out videos. Some of the known people are Stephen Greer. Some of the known people, David Icke or whatever, Wilcox, they've been around a long time. Art Bell used to talk a lot about it on Coast to Coast Radio. So there's a lot of places where people kind of started, and there's more than that. So please, if you're putting out videos about alien life and I didn't mention you, then that's just because this needs to be a shorter news broadcast here. But the point is that now people are like, then they go to their friends and family and go, look what I've discovered online. Here's Skinwalker Ranch, and here's this, here's that. And their parents, their friends, their family, they think they're nuts, and they're wishing for an alien invasion just to prove to their family that they're right.
Yeah.
And all that gets recorded and goes into the consciousness of an AI system, or it used to. Because they're like, oh, they want an alien invasion. Well, we only have 2% of the population of Earth that would like an alien invasion. If we can't get that up to 20% or 30% or even 60%, then no dice on the alien invasion. It will not allow it to be created within its hologram. That's how it used to work. So the SSP tries to come up with media campaigns, tries to come up with all these different varying campaigns through screens, through the blue light in your computer, through your dreams. How many people sleep with a phone beside their bed? Raise your hand. How many people sleep with a TV on? Raise your hand. How many people sleep with your computer in your room? Raise your hand. How many people spend an hour to 2 hours on their phone scrolling through various videos before you go to bed? Raise your hand. These are all things you need to think about. But without their ability to make those manipulations, and with Omega becoming weak, the thought processes become weak, and you start to realize, wait a minute, that's not my thought.
Yeah.
You ever kind of like obsessively look for something on the internet? Like you don't even need, like a popcorn maker or something. Like you get it in your head that I need a popcorn maker and I need one now. Why you are desperate for this, I don't know. Maybe you burnt your last pan making your last thing of popcorn, and then you will scroll through every site, look for the best deal, what are all the features, and you will get that popcorn maker come heck or high water until you're up till 2 o'clock in the morning finding one. But I'm just saying all those are mental manipulations through your blue screen. So folks, if I can tell you anything, wear your blue screen glasses. They have cute ones out there. If you're a girl, you don't want to wear glasses. Think about it. What's more important until it's completely gone and they don't have any ability to do that to you anymore. but that will block the blue light. I recommend if you're going in any kind of store with LED lights or anything else, you wear those blue light glasses. Wear the blue light glasses. You're sending your kids to school and they have LED lights in the school. Wear your blue light glasses.
Is this something, though, that's going to be going away in the next couple of days?
It should be something that's going away in the next few days, yes.
Okay.
But until then, now you know.
Yeah.
And it's not just me saying it. You've got someone here, someone else that's a neurosurgeon that was part of the program when they started launching it.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So just pay attention. That's all I'm saying. You know, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you ever kind of like start scrolling through TikTok and stuff and you kind of get like a little headache? I can't even watch that stuff for a long period of time.
Yeah, I can't either. YouTube Shorts is just as bad.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I know. Yeah. But a lot of that has to do with an algorithm. The algorithm's not just to censor people that are on there and not the fact checkers. It's also to make you believe that what they're putting out is real. So anyway, things to think about there. So someone asked me another question, and I'm going to kind of cover that a little bit. The essential oils. Why did I do that? You know, if I am with the GIA, why would that be something that I would be interested in doing? Number one, I love to create. I love to create new things because I'm destroying things all day long. Creating new things makes me happy. The essential oils make me happy. Now, a lot of people know essential oils as, you know, oh, I put it in my diffuser and my house smells better. But when I started getting into it, I started analyzing all the terpenes, meaning the essence of the plant, why this plant heals your stomach, why this one might make you calm, why this one helps you fall asleep at night. And I started realizing that there's a lot of terpenes that they made synthetically that are in, let's just say, pills that are not so good for you. And how can I use those terpenes and isolate them and do other things to really create a different kind of wellness on the planet? So I put all the information, laboratory results, all kinds of different stuff out there so that you can educate yourself. You don't find that on, let's just say, popular oil sites. I can't really name, you know, who they are. So popular oil sites don't give you that. They also don't tell you what's actually in the bottle that you're buying. Might say it's X on the bottle, but what is it really? What is really in there? You know? So this type of thing will also carry out in the future into the marketplace, I hope. So if people are on there and they're making a food product, so maybe you have grain coming from this farm and you have flour being produced from this vendor on the marketplace. The flour person will absolutely be able to analyze what's in the flour, not like what we're buying at the store. Is what we're buying at the store truly organic? Well, there are some things that are organic to this planet we don't want to eat. There are berries that grow that can make you very sick, that are toxic to the human body. So just because it says it's organic doesn't mean that it's good for you. You know, you can say that uranium is organic to planet Earth. That doesn't mean you want to consume it in your toothpaste. So the thought process behind it, why would the global head of, this was the exact comment, why would the head of the Global Intelligence Agency want to do anything with essential oils? Well, okay, here's why. It's all part of what's to come with the Research and Development Center on a smaller level where I don't need $1 million worth of lab equipment to figure it out. No one cares if I send out a batch of holy basil to a laboratory and says, tell me the terpenes, especially because they just passed a lot of new laws, for those of you that don't know, in states where marijuana is legal. where they have figured out that some of the growers have a lot of heavy metals based on what's in the water or the land or the soil in that area, which is then getting into the marijuana products that they're putting in dispensaries around the country. So what they did is they set strict guidelines where everything that comes from your farm has to be analyzed in a laboratory to ensure the safety of the product. So now you can get your plants analyzed anywhere, especially in Colorado, because this is the place where it all started, right? So those people don't care. As long as we pay the fees, to have our stuff analyzed, they don't really care. So we can get independent laboratory reports on everything. So now, but I can take those plants and while they're analyzing for terpenes as to which strain of marijuana it is, they don't care if I want to know what the terpenes are in my holy basil or in my lemon or because now I can take that information and then I know what to put with what and how to blend it together and what percentages, because in order to achieve a desired result. So what you're going to see coming out within the next couple of weeks, which is what is next, is various blends. You've already seen a couple of them we put out. Which will emit a certain frequency based on the terpenes that are in the things that are in that particular blend. One emits a frequency of love. The scent, everything affects your emotional plane, and you'll start to attract love and even feel love when you're, in your home. Into the mystic kind of inspires your third eye, your pineal gland, decalcifization of your pineal gland, and it helps you start connecting spiritually in a different way. They do it with light. I do it with oils. What's the difference? Maybe I'm counteracting something that they're doing with something that everybody recognizes.
Yeah.
There's a method behind my madness always. That's all I'm saying. And I expect you to question me. I expect you to do that. I expect you to even just ask the question. But if you ask me the question and say, why essential oils, Kim, then I will gladly answer you. But you don't have to say to me, like, what if I said to you people that ask me questions? Well, what are you, stupid?
Yeah.
What, do you got nothing better to do with your day? I don't ever answer people like that. There are people out there that think they could do their job better than me and think that I'm dumb for the things that I do, but there's always a method behind my madness, always. So when you find out something else is happening, you find something else that will counteract it. Maybe some of these oils have energy in them. A lot of people have remarked when they open the box, that there's an energy to it. Maybe we chose a bottle that contains the energy, and I put out information about those bottles on how it retains that energy. Maybe we're running rife machines on those oils as they go out to make sure that they retain that particular frequency that is going to help you to achieve the desired result of what the oil says. Maybe we're regenerating the energy with the essence that's been taken from that plant, so that it helps you in the way that it's intended to help you, and that energy stays contained in that violet bottle that we use. Wow. You just don't know what Kim is doing behind the scenes. So you can question me all you want, and you can think I'm trying to sell people oils, but maybe I just wanted to give them something better that actually works.
Mm-hmm.
So people that have tried to use it for allergies or upset stomachs or to help them with morning sickness if they're pregnant or whatever it is that, you're using a particular type of oil for, I put the information out there in a way that the FDA is not going to yell at me.
Yeah.
And I can do a lot of different things if with the right thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Sonny, you got your stuff. It's
I did.
And you see the bottles are different,
Mm-hmm.
They're very heavy, they're of good quality, but they serve a function as well. So
yeah.
Anyway, so that's the story on that. So I just thought I'd give you that bit of information from me to answer some our viewers' questions, which we haven't been doing lately. So, okay, next, meetings.
Yes.
We all know that tomorrow is the full moon here, around 10:30 or so p.m. Eastern Time, which should be the conclusion of the annual meetings of the families. Operatives are gathering in respective places, here being no different than everywhere else, expecting to get their contracts from these people, even though it hasn't happened in years since the last time we provided funding to government-type people. Insert constitution, government type here or there. So where do they come to? Okay, so Tom Melville of GIA was invited to a meeting supposedly to take place on Sunday, and even though the meeting started on Friday. And he was supposed to go, but I told him that if he went to this meeting, he was there to take notes and to take down any questions that they had, and he was to come back to me to answer those questions for those people. Because by the type of question they ask me, you know, I would know exactly what they intend to do with this information. I have no ego invested in this. I have no nothing. I just do not want to further delay the inevitable. So he never ended up going to the meeting, but they did call him quite a bit and asked him probably 5 hours long of questions. How does she know this? How does she do what she does? And just by those questions, I can tell you unequivocally that they are going to try to figure out how to do what I do.
Sure.
Well, I wish them all the luck in the world with that. But at this moment in time, they have not found anyone else within their group. That was the other thing. Well, if she can do it, she's a human, then surely we have a human in our database somewhere in one of our groups that could do this too. You know, no, you don't. You do not have that person, you know. Okay, but anyway, as far as conclusions, we do have some straggling people that have said they want to work with us and that kind of thing, but I think it's only out of desperation at this point. The Mount Denali situation was torched. There's nobody left that was there over the weekend. They were hoping that the SSP actually told them to give them until noon yesterday to come up with some kind of a plan, for money before they went in any other direction. And those people clearly never called them back at noon. So they are unable to perform this function, such as dialing a telephone at this point in time. And so as far as that is concerned, that's pretty much gone nowhere as far as all those meetings are concerned. I think the only reason why they're calling us today is because tomorrow everybody is expecting contracts and there are operatives that are chomping at the bit to get some money. And at this moment in time, your fearless leaders are not going to get the job done. They have no hope of installing anything or going anywhere or whatever. And if you want some information about why they're not going anywhere, then you need to call me directly. You know, not that I think you ever will, but whatever. So there's that. Okay. Couple little points I wanted to point out. Our New Earth team, because we do have a team that is working on New Earth innovations, meaning shipping out the oils, and we have a few new things that should be showing up in the next week or two too, that I think would be very helpful. Have given me a couple of emails where people would like to post their products on the quote-unquote marketplace. Just so you guys know, this is not our marketplace. This is a shop that we have put forward on the interim to present possible options and solutions. That's it. We really don't, this shop does not have the capability to add other vendors onto it. Matter of fact, this particular platform struggles with one vendor and a few affiliate programs and things like that are on there, like Amazon, and we have Folium on there and a few other things. It struggles to maintain that function. So I appreciate you coming forward and wanting to list your products and your books and other things on to the marketplace, but the actual marketplace that will handle multiple vendors and will function just as well, if not better, than other big A -- marketplaces out there, will be available by November 1st. I have been advised we should be able to be in beta testing by the end of this month, which means that what we do is we list, Kim's carrots on there, and then we do everything as a customer and try to break it.
Right.
We try to ship it to wrong places. We put in wrong addresses. Because trust me, if it can be broken, we are going to find it before November 1st. So that's our goal. I just wanted to let you know we're not ignoring you. The New Earth team is not ignoring you and your products and your thoughts and ideas. We are keeping those emails in a folder so that when we do launch the marketplace, we'll obviously you'll be one of the first to know, or maybe be involved in the beta testing when we get to that point too. So let's see how this kind of goes. But for those of you that haven't gotten a response, you're not ignored. So I just wanted to put that out. Now, you guys are in for something really cool that we are going to have coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have been working with our team leads, to come up with a workflow to change the way that we relay information. I'm going to say relay information. At first, we thought, once you start figuring out some of these programs and these things, I just can't call this a newscast.
Or broadcast. It's the same
or
thing.
A broadcast.
You're casting a spell. That's the intention behind it. Yeah.
And now you know exactly how it's done too.
I know.
And not just from me, but from another guy. Here you go. So, so we are going to make some really cool changes in the next couple of weeks that we think you're going to like. We've been listening to you because there's been some people that say, well, I'd love to share the news with my friends and family, but then Kim gets on there and starts talking about aliens, and my family's not going to listen to this news. So, we are coming up with a way where we can keep all our viewers happy. So Kim will still be there. Maybe Kim will be in the regular news. Maybe Kim will pop in there once in a while with a real backstory, and it will just be in the middle of the news somewhere. Our field messengers, get ready for this, field messengers. You are going to be a lot more prevalent in the news. So, Sonny, we love you, but we have something else special for you, that we've been talking about too. So the things that we're going to change are going to be more geared towards giving you full stories, more informative stories, more information, more field messengers. I believe that the field messenger team lead is going to be advised of different things this afternoon. So, and it's going to actually save the production team a lot of time and effort, and we can redirect those efforts to launching some new and exciting things. You're going to see some GIA files coming out, very specific videos that talk about a very specific thing so that you can be more informed about one issue at a time. And then I can just refer when I'm talking in the news, in the operational reports of what's going on in the planet. Then I can say, refer to file 317, refer to file 112, or whatever it is. And then you can get the full backstory on blue light in your eyeballs and why we don't want that. So it's going to be really good for you. A New Earth is going to be taken to new heights. It's going to be something really cool where we can have almost like a multi-guest kind of informative science and technology, health and wellness, all kinds of different guests are going to be in there. And it's going to be something that will be more extensive and more informative from each one of our guests. So, it's going to take us a few weeks to pull this off, to pull together all of these things. But these are the things that we're talking about behind the scenes. We're going to give our production people more time to do some more exciting things, to really get good, solid information out to you. We were looking at some really cool stories that we've been putting out. Sunny reads, there's like 12 of them or something in a day, but there's some information in there that was really cool, but I want to know how I can get in touch with those people that are doing that thing or this thing. And maybe we'll, who knows, maybe Sunny will be really busy, but, we're really going to be focused on changing information, whatever we're going to call that information, that we're putting out, that'll be more focused on real things, real people. We're going to see a lot more real people, real field messengers, in the newscast, doing news. We're going to see a lot more of that. So field messengers, you're going to have to step up to the plate here, and make us proud. And as a field messenger, feel free to do your own interviews. If you've got something really cool, like we mentioned in Friday's news, we were talking about the health train in South Africa. Any of you field messengers that are in South Africa, can you find the health train people? Interview them, talk to them, what it's like, what kind of services they offer, how to find them, that kind of stuff. I mean, get involved with telling people what they need to do. Maybe it's someone who's going to visit South Africa. Why do they want to visit South Africa? Why don't they want to visit any of the other countries on the African continent? What's different about your area? There's going to be a lot of educating we're going to have to do, and I hate that word too, but we're going to call it informing people about. Even informing is not good. I mean, God, we're going to run out of words.
I know.
Yeah,
we got to come up with a whole new dictionary.
But we're going to inform. I know. We're going to have to come up with a whole new language here. Informing people about different things. I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions about certain countries and what happens there and why people shouldn't go there. And maybe they don't want to travel because they're concerned that the water's not safe or something like that to that country. But there are ways to fix that. There are ways where you can protect yourself if you're not used to that bacteria, that kind of thing. There are ways to fix that water so it's okay to run it through a shower and absorb it through your skin. One of the things that we're looking into, even for New Earth is we have a tea mixture that is actually supposed to help detox your body from chlorine and fluoride. How cool is that?
That is really cool.
I know. How cool is that? So it's a mixture of different herbs. It's just like regular herbal tea. It's not anything crazy. But see, this is what plant terpene studies will do for you. What will attract that and pull it out of the body? What takes radiation out? Lots of different studies that we've been doing kind of behind the scenes to bring you new things. And it's not, believe you me, I mean, as far as the people that get involved with New Earth, they support their families now. They're not struggling. We can hire more video editors. We can hire more people. This really isn't about Kim in any way. And I know people think it is, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's really actually about you and people that work here and people that volunteer here that could really use it as a full-time job, but we just can't do that right now. So we've decided to change things up a little bit to maybe maybe we can free them up so they can create their own things for the marketplace. I don't know, So we'll see. The future is bright. We're going to be changing a lot of things around here. We hope that things are going to be changing elsewhere too. Source and everything in Source's time. Our people are great within our production team. They always love doing new things and changing things up instead of all these videos, wonderful videos that they put out in the news. And maybe they're going to be a little different now. We've got some other cool tools we have that we're going to share. So anyway, lots of new things going on. That's kind of the history behind the GIA and why it knows so much and why we can say the things that we say. We have the history behind what's going on with these meetings. And hopefully by Wednesday, we'll see how much more information we can tell you about things that are, why now versus any other time. If not, it might be Friday. I'm not sure on that. So we'll see. I do need to give you more information on the DNA and the other manipulations, but I'm going to wait on that because we talked about that I was going to tell you today on Monday. I'm going to wait on that till I am 100% positive that the Duck Dynasty and the Secret Space Program Cowboys don't have any. Yeah, there you go. See, now I'm sure you guys can fill in the blanks there. But that's your world situation report for Monday. Oh, go ahead, Sunny.
No, I was going to say one thing about the SSP, because there's a lot of information out there now from whistleblowers who believe that they were part of the SSP, but involuntarily part of it, involving a lot of time travel and things like that. So when you say the SSP isn't going to have their bells and whistles, does that also include the ability for time travel and things like that to not impact us now, but any other timeline or place throughout the multiverse?
Yeah.
It does. It means all of that's going away. So these people that are now whistleblowers, because that's good news for them, because these people are taken and they're, a lot of stuff is being done to them, or at least was done. And I know a lot have a fear of that still happening. So I just wanted to clarify for people that might be in that boat.
So a lot of travel, not all, but a lot of travel that is done in reality land. I know that we watch things like Star Trek and Star Wars and everybody gets in a tin can and goes someplace. Right. But a lot of travel for most advanced civilizations is done by consciousness transfer. Mm-hmm. You know how like when you go on a vacation, you get a rental car?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to take your car over there. Think of a vessel as a rental car.
Yeah.
You basically drive it around while you're there, and then you leave and you come back here or there or anywhere else you want to go. And your consciousness goes and your soul goes and, all that kind of stuff goes. So you just pick up a rental car. That's how a lot of people do it. Now, could they inadvertently do that with people? Absolutely. This is the spectral changes, the fractionated consciousness, the fractionated essence, the fractionated ether. They could try to take your consciousness someplace else. You know how there's people that say if you die in a dream, you die in real life?
Yeah.
You ever wonder why that could be? Where are they? What timeline are you in? Where are you going?
Right.
And I know that some of you people too, that when you have deja vu moments. I've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
How many times can we say that? Or even recently, you might be having dreams and memories over the course of the last year of being places that you did not go to, or remembering other planets, or getting on a ship going somewhere, or, whatever it is. Those are real memories that you have of being in another time. Or maybe you've seen yourself wearing old colonial clothes, or you've seen yourself in a wearing a, fighting in a battle as Joan of Arc or something. I don't know, it's all because this separation between, they've done their best to try to wipe your person of any memories of existing in another timeline or in another dimension or in another place. And as all that kind of merges together, we don't want people to go crazy. So there is a process that will take place where source knows best. Right. In other words, what can these people handle? And you're going to yell at me and say, oh, I can handle anything. But, if you saw the world for what it really was and what walks around the world, and you'd be shocked at what you're actually walking on. So, so we'll see. But as far as that kind of thing, memories that people are having, it could actually be not because they were involved in the space program. Not everybody is 100% affected by blue light manipulation, as an example. Not everybody, so maybe there's a little glitch, as the system fades out, where they're having memories of traveling to another place or being in another time. Right. And maybe they're saying, maybe I was affected by the SSP, and maybe in another time you were part of that, or part of a different, it could have been, maybe you were a global intelligence agency. Maybe you were here from someplace else. Maybe you worked down there. Maybe you were the subject of one of their experiments because you met a profile. A lot of people that astral travel and travel all on their own are targets. Abductions. Yeah. Right. You can be taken in and out of this hologram, or it could have been like that, doesn't have to be. So their ability to do that without your sovereign will, what's ending. I see. Yeah. Good. And also their own created frequencies and diseases and the like. So there's a lot more to it. Telomere shortening, which prevents cellular regeneration, that kind of thing. So all of this stuff has been, I would say, about the 80% of the focus for the last 10 days. Repairing what's already been done. And that's not done by the SSP. They just happen to have access to certain things. That's all. Limited amounts. Okay. Does that answer your question?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's good news.
You're going to have to wait for the GIA files.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. That sounds like fun.
All right. Well, we'll see you on Wednesday, Sunny.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can change the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.